Recorded Books presents Devils by Fyodor Dostoyevsky. Translated from the Russian by Michael R. Katz. Narrated by George Guidell and directed by Megan Barrickman. This book is recorded with permission by Oxford University Press. The translation and editorial material is copyrighted 1992 by Michael R. Katz. This recording is protected by copyright, and unauthorized copying is strictly prohibited. Fyodor Dostoyevsky opens this novel with two epigraphs. The first is the following lines by Alexander Pushkin. "Strike me dead, but I can't see the track. We've lost our way. What are we to do? A devil seems to be leading us onto the field and making us go around in circles. So many of them. Where are they being driven? And why are they singing so mournfully? Are they burying a house spirit? Or celebrating a witch's wedding?" The second epigraph, which begins this story, is from Luke chapter 8, verses 32 through 35. "And there was there an herd of many swine feeding on the mountain. And they besought him that he would suffer them to enter into them. And he suffered them. Then went the devils out of the man and entered into the swine. And the herd ran violently down a steep place into the lake, and were choked. When they that fed them saw what was done, they fled, and went, and told it in the city and in the country. Then they went out to see what was done, and came to Jesus, and found the man, out of whom the devils were departed, sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed, and in his right mind. And they were afraid." And now, Devils, a novel in 3 parts.
Part 1. Chapter 1. By way of an introduction, some details from the biography of the highly esteemed Stepan Trofimovich Verhovensky. 1. In setting out to describe the recent and very strange events that occurred in our hitherto completely undistinguished little town, I am compelled by my own lack of talent to begin from some time back, that is, with a few biographical details about the talented and highly esteemed Stepan Trofimovich Verhovensky. Let these details serve merely as an introduction to the present chronicle. The actual story I intend to relate will follow later. I can state forthwith that Stepan Trofimovich always played a rather special role among us, a civic role, so to speak, and he loved this role so passionately that it seems to me he couldn't have existed without it. It's not that I'd compare him to an actor on stage, God forbid, all the more since I myself respect him. Perhaps it was all a matter of habit, or more precisely, his constant and noble tendency since childhood to indulge in pleasant fantasies about his own splendid civic standing. For example, he enjoyed his position as a persecuted man, even, so to speak, an exile. There's a certain traditional glamour contained in these 2 little words that had seduced him once and for all, and, over many years, gradually elevated him in his own estimation, and finally placed him on a pedestal that was highly gratifying to his vanity. In an English satirical novel of the last century, a certain Gulliver, returning from the land of the Lilliputians, where the people were only a few inches tall, had grown so accustomed to thinking of himself as a giant that, as he walked along the streets of London, he kept shouting at passers-by and carriages to be careful and get out of his way so he wouldn't trample them, imagining that he was still a giant, and they were very tiny. People laughed at him and made fun of him, and rough coachmen even lashed him with their whips. But was that fair? What is habit not capable of? Habit had driven Stepan Trofimovich almost as far as that, but in a more innocent and inoffensive way, if one can put it like that, because he was such a splendid man. I'm actually inclined to think he was entirely forgotten in the end. On the other hand, it can't be said that he was completely unknown earlier on. There's no doubt that at one time he belonged to our famous galaxy of illustrious men of the last generation. At one time, though only for a brief moment, his name was uttered by many impulsive people of the day almost in the same breath with Chadaev, Bielinski, Granovsky, and Herzen, who was then just embarking on his activities abroad. But Stepan Trofimovich's activity ended almost as soon as it began, as a result, so to speak, of a whirlwind of concurrent circumstances. And what do you think? It turned out later there had been neither whirlwind nor circumstances, at least not in this instance. Only a few days ago I learned, to my great amazement, but from a most reliable source, that Stepan Trofimovich had been living in our province not as an exile, as we'd been led to believe, nor had he ever been under police surveillance. Such is the power of imagination. All his life he devoutly believed that in certain spheres he was regarded with apprehension, that his every step was being watched, and that 3 successive governors in the last 20 years arrived to take over the administration of our province with a certain preconceived notion about him inculcated from above and handed down with their appointment as governor. Had anyone tried to persuade the Honorable Stepan Trofimovich with irrefutable evidence that he really had nothing to fear, he would certainly have been highly offended. And yet he was a very intelligent and talented man.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.